and Cousin Steve. Hey everyone, welcome to the Paranormal Hot Seat. I'm going to try and fix our Wi-Fi here. We are in an undisclosed location on the other side of the world. No, we went for a drive.
You wish.
We are performing it at Crookwell RSL this coming Saturday night for a tarot show, which is so very exciting. Right, Renata, talk while I try and fix this up.
Hello, everyone. If you have not met us before, my name is Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours, and I co-produce or co-help or co-assist or co-own or co-something. What do I do? Haunted Holidays, True Hauntings podcast, and Anne and Renata Frightfully Good. This person here is Anne.
I'm frightfully good.
And Anne is frightfully good. And she also owns Oz Paratech, which is the largest online provider of paranormal technology in the Southern Hemisphere. And we also have the wonderfully beautiful Steve with us, cousin Steve, all the way back in Newcastle.
Frozen? No?
I'm in Newcastle. I'm in Newcastle.
And Steve has been a volunteer and so many more things for us over the last couple of years.
More things.
No.
A vital link to everything that we do. And
coming up on 5 years, actually, next year.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
Hello, everyone. Hello. We're assuming that you can hear us and that everything is fine. Tell us how many degrees it is where you are right now. How cold is it?
Music education.
How cold is it where you are? Please send us a
figure.
A figure.
It was 26 degrees today in England, believe it or not.
I think we're down to about 3 where we are. 3 degrees. It's going to get about -3 this evening.
It says it's 9 degrees here in Newcastle, but I don't think so. I think it's a little bit cooler, actually.
Cooler? I can hopefully tell you it is 4 degrees where we are.
4 degrees. Lovely.
Getting down to -3 tonight.
Oh, God. Not your bits.
And not going anywhere.
Long way.
Not going anywhere tonight.
But yes, this is the show where we have the paranormal news and I don't know, shit stirring as much as we can. And we sort of scour the internet to try and find some good stories for you. Now, I do have a link that I'll put up later for you guys in regards to this particular show. Renata did send through a picture. And Steve, I gather you can actually control your... Why can't I get to the media assets? Because I'm tapping my pen on the computer that doesn't tap. I'm trying to control too many things. I'm not in my normal environment. Right. Okay. You can put photos up if you need them, can't you, Steve?
Yes, I think so.
Do you have photos?
No.
All right, fine. Shall I
have a
start?
lot of personality.
No, you go ahead because you've been dying to do this for 2 weeks now. This one.
No, this is not the one I've been dying to do for 2 weeks. That was the one. That's another one.
Oh,
that was the baby train.
Okay.
Because
thank you, Joanne. Thank you for super stickers.
You don't deserve it.
So anyone that sends us super stickers or whatever, thank you. We are
appreciated.
Absolutely, very, very grateful.
Yes.
At this point in time, we are grateful for everything.
Oh, there we are. Big T said it is 13 degrees. Where are you? Are you in Queensland? Kate said 25. Now, Kate, you're in Wales, aren't you? Because we just recorded a True Hauntings on Wales.
Oh yeah, they're sweating it out over there. They're having a heat wave. I think I saw a top temperature of 32 degrees.
The poor darlings.
Mhm.
Oh, they're coming to get us. Anyway, the story I have found for you, I'm going to pop over here. I'll get my photo and I will put my photo up at the appropriate time. Has anybody heard of the box demon? Did anyone hear about that story in May? It's very fresh.
Fresh box.
Fresh box. Steve got very excited when I mentioned that there was going to be a story about a box demon. But this is a viral story that hit the internet in May 2025. And initially, it actually sparked quite a bit of concern that there may have been a cult forming or has formed, or some new strange paranormal activity regarding demonic stuff. Oh, we do like our demonic stuff. Let me tell you what happened. So this involves one of the notorious Ring doorbells. A Ring doorbell camera.
All right. I'm glad you specified.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And what happened is that at some ungodly time of the morning, let me see if I can find the time. Oh, I found the script. Every now and then, something so weird hits the paranormal scene, it even makes us sit up and say, wait, what? This is one of those times. Our next tale comes from the eerie land of Pennsylvania. Very eerie land. Not exactly the hotspot for demonic postal deliveries until now. So one late night in North York County, Pennsylvania, a woman in black walked up to a suburban doorstep. She wore a mask made of paper plates, like a kindergarten art project. Now, let me show you. How terrifying is that? So
it's not. It's a flower mask.
She's not all in black either, I'd like to say.
No.
So she's walked up and she's gone up to the doorbell and she's sort of going, it was really quite weird. I'll put the video up later. I was going to put the video in here, but if I play the video, it demonetizes the video and we may get a strike, and we don't want to have that. So, yes, it does look like a kindergarten project that may have gone wrong. Absolutely. She dropped off a cardboard box, a big cardboard box, and she looked into the camera and said, I am the box demon. Just leave the box and go. Even my phone thought that was creepy. Yeah, so naturally the footage has gone viral. Theories are flying around the place. Now, is this somebody who is part of a cult? Is this somebody that was delivering a cursed object to someone? What's in the box, Jan? What's in the box? Was it some sort of summoning ritual? Was it a TikTok? There's a TikTok challenge that's going on out there. What do you think was in the box?
No idea.
If you were a box demon and you were going to randomly deliver a box to somebody, what would you put in said box?
Some poor decapitated doll or something or other.
Oh, I thought you were going to say dog then. Oh, bloody hell.
No.
Yes. So, oops. Yeah, this is for real. This is for real. Let me show you, Sarah. Look at this photo. And it's really creepy because she goes like this, and it's in black and white, and then she gets closer to it and it comes into colour. The police did track her down later, and it turns out she was actually experiencing a mental health crisis.
Oh.
Now, they say there was no threat, no demon, but this is where we get to this thing where we don't know whether is it somebody that has suddenly been possessed by something and making them do something irrational? We've had this before, haven't we? Just trying to
Have
see
we?
everyone's.
Have
No,
we?
we've talked about the discussions of is it a mental psychosis they're going through, or is it truly a demonic possession? Well, she knew she was the box demon. So let me tell you what was in the box. What have we guessed? Anyone guessed?
I say it's a doll. Give us some thoughts. What do you think was in the box, everyone?
Trick or treat? No, it wasn't kids having fun. Mix up their meds with Mentos. Yes, Schrodinger's cat, yes. Possessed by the recycling bin. And Catherine thinks that Daisy was in the box. Larice has nailed it.
There was nothing in the box.
Nothing in the freaking box. How disappointing was that? And after all of that, you have this person, I think it was 4 a.m. in the morning she's got there, and she's ringing the doorbell. So it is sort of like a reminder for people that not everything that says is demonic or turns up on your doorstep with paper plates all over their face is a demon. Sometimes it's just people who are really struggling with reality. Pretty sure Renata's done this. She's turned up somewhere with paper plates all over her face.
That would be true.
But yeah, so that's basically my my little story. I did have a caption for a photo there, and that was when you order a demon off Wish, and it arrives with free shipping and 0 threat level. I never got around.
I think you've got yourself a new piece of merch there, really. Just a shirt that says "I am the box demon."
Oh yes.
That is likely to start a trend on TikTok, though. It is very likely to start a trend, and people who would have something like this come to their door would have it recorded on their security cameras, and they would then put it up on TikTok, and it would start the whole game again, just like Slender Man did. And then the box demon becomes true. Give it 12 months, and we do have a box demon. And you don't need anything in the box because
it's
the
kind of
demon
like when all
isn't-
those clowns were popping around, remember?
Yeah.
All those clowns were popping up on social media and scaring people and running at cars and all that kind of stuff. And anything that I guess it's kind of a modern example of a tulpa. We're creating something that is not really there, but the more that people engage with it and put belief into it, it's a thing, The box demon liveth.
That's all I've got. Because I've been frantically editing up the True Hauntings podcast to get it out by tomorrow morning, so that we could leave at some ungodly hour this morning. So I've done it, and it's
very
ready.
close.
Part two of the South Shields Poltergeist is coming out tomorrow morning.
Yes, please join us on the True Hauntings podcast. It will be live at 9 o'clock, Australian Eastern Standard Time. No, Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And you will
Daylight Savings is over.
Standard. Oh, that's right. We're not.
It's been a big day.
We're back to normal.
We're not daylight saving anymore, so that's okay. Yeah, Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
9 o'clock anyway. It's a great episode. Anne talks all the way through it.
Yeah, basically.
Very light
She
lifting.
lost a voice after.
Steve, would you like to go with your story?
Of course. So I'm just doing a little bit of a poll of the audience tonight because everyone's favorite behemoth of a TV show that is now dominating the paranormal investigation sphere, Ghost Adventures, has wrapped its 29th season recently. And my question, I know, 29 seasons of Ghost Adventures.
Wow. That's impressive.
I was going through a list of celebrity guests that they have had joined them on investigations. Now, there is quite a long list, and I'll give it to you now. And we have talked about this before, but I have a very specific question. So we've had the Real Hollywood Ghost Hunters, which is Kane Hodder, who plays Jason, R.A. Milhoff, and Rick McCallum, Brendan Traub, Chad Lindbergh, Vince Neil, James Gold, Loretta Lynn, Britt Morgan, Mimi Page, Post Malone, Kieran O'Keefe, Dean Hagland, Lauren Gray, Holly Madison, the now ex of our boy Zach. And this season, Jonathan Davis and Matt Rife, so more modern names there. But my question for the viewers and everyone listening and whatever, does a celebrity guest damage an investigation? Because we have actually done some stuff with Isaac Butterfield, who is a celebrity, a very notorious celebrity. And when the public gets involved, we have to ask themselves, do they come for the ghosts or the paranormal investigation, or do they come for the celebrity? So does it confuse things?
All right. If you're watching and you want to give us your view on that, do people come or watch just because the celebrity is on? Or do they still watch because they want to hear the ghost story? Or do they watch because they want to see whether the celebrity gets super freaked out?
For me, it looks like it's a collaboration, and it may bring an audience to the collaboration that may not normally have looked at that particular type of show. And I know that's what happened with us with Isaac, is that we ended up with people who had never seen our work, and we had a small percentage of you fall in love with us. And we had some that hated us.
And it's important to point out that Ghost Adventures is not the first, not the first thing to do it. Most Haunted had a whole spin-off where they had celebrities come and do ghost hunting, but it was actually more focused on the hunt. Meatloaf was on Ghost Hunters, I believe, for a couple of episodes as well. So they're obviously bringing an audience, and it's Kesha has her own ghost hunting show. Demi Lovato had her own show. Like, these celebrities have an audience, and it's interesting to see how many of them actually have an interest in the paranormal as well, because it's a whole thing.
Do they,
as you ladies know?
Do they really, or do they see this as another marketing edge that they can add because there's been a little bit of interest shown, and so their producers or their managers might say, how about you do a few and let's see how it goes, because you might be able to make some extra money here. So my question is, are they really interested? And if they would be, how long have they been interested? Like, have they been interested since last Tuesday, or the show that they were on? Or is it something that they can truthfully, hand on heart, say, this has been a passion of mine all my life, and not lie about it? Which would mean that after those shows were finished, they would still be interested. They would still be doing things associated with the paranormal. That's my question.
Yeah, Meatloaf was one of the guests, and he's now one of the ghosts.
It'd be interesting to see the Ghost Hunters team try and contact him now. You would think, which is going to segue into another thing. I've got like a double barrel segment tonight, so that segues into something that I want to talk about as well. But yeah, it's interesting that they go, and they seem to get these celebrities to go to the notorious places, or sometimes places where they have had their own experience. I don't know if anyone remembers or watched My Celebrity Ghost Story, where they did actually approach celebrities and they were telling their stories about their own paranormal experiences. And a lot of people do. I mean, LA itself is a hotbed of weird things. So,
there's a lot of weirdness in LA.
A lot of celebrities do have their own ghost stories, but again, is it because they get to go to a lot of places and stay over at a lot of really interesting places? Is it because there's also alcohol and drugs involved, and so they're kind of more open, from that point of view? There are so many things that can be layered in here.
Not sure what we can do about Steve echoing because we don't have enough headphones here.
I don't have any headphones.
I've got one set of cordless headphones with me. I can put my microphone down deeper into my cleavage and hope that might cut him out a little bit. Yeah, sorry.
Cleavage.
Or I can mute us when we're not talking.
We can do that.
Like I did just then.
I'm just going to get a drink. I'll be back in a
But
second.
Michael,
Alright, so
we did have that point brought up before, because anyone that's on a TV show now automatically becomes a celebrity investigator because of who they are. So do you need to have some kind of, obviously we know the answer to this because this is the area that you dwell in and have been dwelling in. The social media presence and the attention that a celebrity brings is kind of a necessary evil in this day and age to even get anywhere near a TV show or a documentary or something that is not self-funded, that is,
Well, that very much happened to us with our pilot that went to America, and because we weren't as famous as
other people,
Ozzy Osbourne, even though they loved us and they loved the pilot, they thought it was amazing, that money-wise they couldn't afford to go with unknowns. So we lost our big moment, our starring moment, because we didn't have a big name.
And it is that double-edged sword, because you need to, unknowns are cheaper, but you need the name to sell the show.
Yeah, and let's face it, two older ladies who don't, or who go against the grain of the normal comments or the normal way the narrative goes with the ghost hunting TV shows, we're not going to have that instant connection. We're going to have a bit of resistance to us.
Let me pull the demon out of your Anne.
But it's the truth. It is the truth.
Yeah, I do have a second part to my question / segment / whatever. So this season, this season, Ghost Adventures actually visited the Winchester Mystery House. Lucky them. And they held a seance trying to contact Houdini at the Winchester Mystery House, which seems strange. But in 1924, Houdini did actually pay a visit to San Jose, California, as part of his, touring to debunk spiritualists. And reportedly, he was actually left quite impressed by the house's layout and the activity that he saw within the house. While he was there, they did, apparently, allegedly, perform a seance within the house. And some sources claim that he came up with the name Mystery House for there. So do you think that is a very strange like it goes back to the question of spirits being location based, or can you call in anyone from anywhere if they've had a passing association with the place? Because all you've got to really do is look at the amount of places where people see Marilyn Monroe or the Black Dahlia or James Dean, all of these.
Vlad the Impaler or Dracula in Romania.
Yeah. Do you think that is? This is a open question for everyone. Is that a clear way to try and contact someone who's only been there once?
Well, theoretically, if this is what mediums do, mediums will bring in a spirit from wherever. If they have a member of the family who is asking to see Uncle John, who died, and wants to talk to him, the medium will say, okay, right, I'm connecting with Uncle John right now, and he's here. What do you want to ask him? So why should these people be any different? Just because Houdini was there once doesn't necessarily mean that he may not be like Uncle John, approachable and available to a gifted medium who can bring him in, or through a seance, through a Ouija board. We kind of tend to make 1,000 different rules, and all of those rules seem to be right. So, if there's a rule that says a medium can bring in anyone from anywhere, whether they have been there or not, then that should be the same for all other spirits, shouldn't it?
Because it gives me pause, because what makes... well, we all know what makes the ego of Zach Baggins and his crew think that they are going to be the ones to contact Houdini when he wouldn't contact his own wife for the however many years that they had the seance that was all agreed to with the codes and all of that kind of thing. As I have said before, the final Houdini seance on the roof of the Knickerbocker Hotel is actually on YouTube. You can listen to the audio, because it was played on radio. So there is a version of it that is there. If you want to listen to it, it's actually really good listening. But what makes any investigator like that, especially the celebrity investigators, think that they are going to catch them straight away? Because we're here, he's been here once, so they'll talk to him. They'll talk to me.
But what about half paranormal? As soon as they're not, the body's not even cold, and he's made contact with them. But how's the ego on that?
Right.
That reminds me of one of the topics we're going to cover. Steve's going to
It
love
all
those
leads
topics.
into each other tonight.
And Linda, yes, it is true. There are spirits from Maitland Jail that seemingly do follow us around. We've had them come to Tokal. We've had them come to Melbourne.
Everywhere.
When we were at the jail there in Melbourne. And there was a voice coming through on the spirit box that was very, very known to us by what that person was saying. And we knew who it was straight away. So theoretically, yes, they can. But again, it is ego that says, I can do this when nobody else can. And that ego is going to sell tickets or put bums on seats, or,
It comes down to the dollar. Yeah, it really does.
Make another season of episodes.
Trying to get logged in so I could get that topic. Sarah's going to love that topic too.
I just think it's very interesting because we have these celebrities that are seeking other celebrities and notorious people from history. It seems a big ego fest that they're going to seek each other. You don't want to speak to the people who may have worked there or lived on the land or anything like that. No, we just want to talk to Houdini. Everyone else can bugger off.
Yeah, it's like being told by a medium that in a previous life you were Cleopatra. Yeah, 2/3 of all women allegedly were Cleopatra in a previous life. You can't be the washerwoman down the street who lived her whole life and died at 30 after having 10 children, and all she did was scrub other people's underpants all her life. That's not good enough. You have to be Cleopatra. Right. And it is an ego thing. Why should I be someone boring when I someone who was absolutely amazing?
I just want to know, people, is it better when I mute us when Steve's talking? Do you lose that echo? Hi, Luke. Don't do that, Steve. I'm freaking out. Now he is frozen.
No, I'm fine. I'm alive.
There were some comments I wanted to highlight there. Do the spirits come out more for the celebrities?
Why would they know that they're celebrities?
Why would they care?
Theoretically, yeah. Why would they care?
And Indimara wants to know your thoughts on Tyler Henry.
I've been watching a lot of mediumship shows at the moment.
Mediumship shows?
Yeah, mediumship shows. And a lot of people who have been going in and taking long, dark, heavy looks at the backgrounds of some of these mediums. And they talk about Tyler actually growing up to be an entertainer.
Well,
he was an entertainer by trade before he got into the whole mediumship thing.
Now, people bring this up quite often, saying because they were an entertainer or an actor beforehand, they can't possibly be a medium. They must be faking it. Why can't they be both?
They can. They can be both. I don't know. I can't judge whether Tyler is the real deal or not. Yeah, it's hard. I've done some research, and there are some things that I don't like what I'm seeing, but I can't kind of verify that is the truth about what's going on either. He may be absolutely and totally genuine and absolutely wonderful.
It comes down to me to the quality of the information he is giving. How readily is that information available on the internet? How much is the production crew prepared for him if he has prepared it? And unless we're actually part of the team and there, we'll never know. But he does seem to give very good information. They only, of course, show the hits. They're not showing the misses at all. Why would anyone show the misses?
Watch
the misses.
Watch the one that he does with Boy George.
Oh yeah, Boy George was great. But he was very negative about the whole thing.
Because he didn't treat Boy George nicely from the beginning.
Really?
Boy George got his ego a bit bruised.
His knickers in a knot.
Yeah.
Jodie said, hi, ladies and Steve. I don't think just because you have a TV show doesn't mean the other groups are not important in the field. We are in it, just cash grab. Contacting Whodini thing makes me so mad. Zach was everything he was against. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like this one. In Australia, Chopper Reed is said to be haunting pretty much every jail he was in. Bit like Ivan. Ivan Milat's haunting every single jail he has ever been in.
Or driven past.
Or farted on. Lisa, I'm theorising that there needs to be prior connection made. The mediumship involves the connected person. There's also the theory that, and I remember you talking about this, where your soul or your essence or whatever you want to call it leaves shards or slivers behind, and maybe you're picking up on one of those shards or slivers of the person. Yeah, Boy George wasn't having a bar of it.
It is interesting though, because with the whole question of why celebrities, but why anyone, because as someone who is not a medium, hands up, not a medium, the contact that we have had, I'm just thinking of some of the spirit box sessions and stuff that these guys haven't seen some of it yet. There's really random connections that can come through that we would have no knowledge about, especially like you know what investigation I'm talking about. But even looking back at some of the stuff we did in America, we were getting information about things that we wouldn't have known about, and kind of discovering possible secrets it's very, like, I just think sometimes it's like we say when we're on a tour, sometimes spirits will wander past and see a light on and go, oh, now's my chance. I see a light. Let me just say hello.
Yeah, some of the details that were coming out in that particular investigation, the family hadn't even told anyone because there was a suspected murder involved, and the manner of death was made, what came through on the spirit box. This is the Estes method, and the name of the person who was suspected as being the murderer was also mentioned. And there was all this noise and hullabaloo going on in the background, people chatting and carrying on, not realizing that this information that was coming through was mind-blowing. And like the actual people were like, you can't share this with anyone, because they could hear what was going on. They're going, you can't, because this person is still around and they're dangerous. You can't make it known.
I also, just to tease it out a little bit more, I know that we are still not happy with the final product yet, but I hadn't watched back the footage from Lamp Mansion until I was editing it together, and I especially hadn't seen the spirit box session that Renata and I did. And towards the end of that was insane. Like, I've got goose. I'd never seen it, and I couldn't hear it. I don't remember it, but the stuff that was coming through was, if it wasn't me and I didn't, I'd be like, oh, that's fake for sure. But it's quite compelling. I was like, oh, this is some good stuff. Not to tease it out, folks, but it's really interesting.
I know what. Go.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know that at the end of it,
we all came off going, oh my God.
Yeah, but I can't. So it'll be interesting to hear it again. Yeah.
It's good.
It is coming. And it's nothing to do with the editing. It's just the lighting and the focus of the camera weren't great. So we're just trying to work out how we can
in one section.
Bring up
so
footage.
we're trying to make it sexy for you, folks.
Yeah, maybe if we put some and we'll talk about that. It's going to come out, and I mean, Steve's done an amazing job. Don't get us wrong; it is an amazing job. It's just the subjects weren't great.
Some captions or something.
It's just
we'll work out what to do.
That first bit of recording.
I did try to work with Filmora and see if I could get it to lighten up, but I've got no idea what I'm doing, so I'm going to have to get some sort of tutorial to work out how I can lighten it up. But we'll get there.
To answer Dave's question, answer Dave Mann's question. This was from our overseas adventure last year. So that was how many days after we got off the plane? 2?
2.
Is that?
We were exhausted and trying to get the camera gear sorted and make sure things were charged, and there was not enough IR light, and that's my fault. So poor Steve was trying to do the best he could in the situation we're in, and we didn't know it was going to be that good.
It in the footage either. It was working to start with, and then when we had some activity, the IR light died, and you can actually see in the unedited footage me trying to get the light working because it was fine. I had a great shot. I was like, this is amazing. And then catballs and everything started to go off, and the IR light just died on me. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to interrupt because there was something happening. And this was like just when we were kicking off as well. So it's like, well, there's no point in stopping straight away because, something was happening. I should have. So it's a group whoopsie nana there, but just a bit of background. It was weird that it was happening. Then.
Yeah, we were exhausted. Like, we had gotten off the plane and the plane was late. It was 2 a.m. and in the morning getting to the motel. And then this one, remember, she's left her laptop on the bus, and we we ended up in the small bed instead of the big bed because we didn't want to go upstairs. And there was people out there talking and carrying on, and then we had to get up and drive the next day. Yeah, it's coming.
It's a lot more difficult if you are doing everything as opposed to being the star who just comes on the set and performs and always looks fresh as a daisy and then goes off and has his break. It's very, very different when you're packing, you're organising, you're travelling, you're driving the car, you're getting the camera and everything ready. That's difficult. So, yeah.
We're learning.
I'm sure we're learning. Yeah. I'm sure we're learning to do it better every time we do it. Yeah. So probably our last thing for the evening is
your story.
No, and this came up because of an article that I was reading, and I've been posting about Tuam in Ireland, and where they are starting to dig up an area because it involves a orphanage or a mother and child home where children were disappearing or became unaccounted for. And a few years ago, it became part of a complex of like housing commission here in Australia, you would say housing commission or housing areas, and where these children had been taken care of, the mother and child home was no longer there, but there was a playground on that area and some deserted area around it. And there was a young boy that went around with his friends, and there was a hole, I think, in the ground that had not been there before. And he kind of either slipped into it or looked into it. Opened it up. I can't remember exactly how.
They scampered down.
But he found something that resembled bones and possibly human bones, and he brought it up for some people to look at. And these adults started putting two and two together and worked out where he had found those bones. And so they closed the whole place down and they started to look deeply into this whole thing of Tuam and these children that had disappeared and what had actually happened in this mother and child house. And my question was, when we were there, we've been there twice. When we were there, I know I didn't have a moment where I thought I need to take out my K2 meter and my recorder and record. That never crossed my mind. And I think when I wrote on my Facebook page, I said, would we have investigated there? And
want the picture?
And I said, yeah, not on earth, no way. What we did do there is pay our respects and leave flowers and cry a lot. And so my question to everyone was, is there a place where you would not investigate? Even if you had the opportunity to investigate, would you, for personal reasons or ethical reasons, not investigate? And could you tell us where that is, or just say, yes, there are places where I would not investigate? What would be your kind of cutoff to go, no, I'm just not doing it there? No.
So there's, I think, 796 babies that are missing from this care home that was run by the nuns. And it seems that these babies and children's bodies have now been found in a septic tank beneath the ground in Tuam, Ireland. I wrote down the name of that town in case anyone wants to research that. But even when we were there, we didn't even want to do a live on our Facebooks or YouTube or anything. All we did is we reached out to our grand poobahs, who are our Patreon supporters, but they're also our closest. They're like family. We talk to them about all the stuff that's going on and ask their advice. And it's, we just said to them, this is heartbreaking. This is dreadful. So we just didn't. We wrote about it to raise awareness and maybe posted a photo to raise awareness, but we did not sensationalize it to try and get numbers or anything like that. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So yeah, Port Arthur. Is it because it's still within living memory? If it was, say, 500 years ago, would people think differently? And
Most probably, yeah.
let me tell you, they would have brought those babies up much quicker. They've known about this for a long time now, a long time. And they have been putting it off and saying, oh, we've got to work out how we're going to bring them up. But I think somebody nailed it the other day when they said they're probably waiting for all the nuns involved who have died so they can't be taken to court. I think.
Well, this was the case a couple of years ago when we watched a documentary, and they said they didn't want to. The nuns didn't want to be harassed, or
yes, they didn't want to have questions. They didn't upset them.
Yeah, we don't want to upset the elderly nuns.
Fudge's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Belangolo. Yep. See, there's a lot of people still alive. That's very fresh, and they're still mourning the loss of those people. Not investigate there, nor concentration camps. Yeah, I don't think in my lifetime I could go and do anything at Auschwitz or anything like that, knowing the history that Roman's family had with that, and your family as well. So they've lived through that. They say too soon, but that's too soon. Thanks for coming last night too, Linda. It was lovely to see you. These to be spoken about so these souls are not forgotten. Exactly. Hi, Jeanette. Isn't it somebody's birthday coming up there? Which one of you is it? Would not go to Belangolo. Yep. Belangolo.
Look, there's a strange thing about Belangolo. And sorry, there's one strange thing about Belangolo, and it sort of is because there was a group many years ago now who actually did try and do something out at Belangolo and got into incredibly deep shit about doing it. And I think it was an overreaction. But they also got in contact with one of the people involved, victims, and it was only because they got involved with the victims out there that they ended up making the connection between the baby in the suitcase that was found kilometers and kilometers and kilometers away. I don't know, even in a different state. There was a baby in a suitcase found, and
baby, I think it's a child. It was a small child, bigger than a baby.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. And the connection was made between that baby and one of the victims. So they ended up finding out who the baby or the child was because it was connected to the victim in Belangolo, which they would not have known if that group hadn't gone out there and started doing stuff. So you kind of, it's.
I think Lisa comes up with an important point. The only thing that kind of really makes me pause is, and I think it's ironically the place where all amateur ghost hunters start. I don't think, and I'm going to put this like a caveat on this, I don't think anyone should investigate in a cemetery unless they have permission of the people in the area to be allowed to go in there. When you think about it, a cemetery is supposed to be a place of eternal rest. I don't think it's right that even if there is no energy there, that you're going in to stir up that, because it's not just that. It's places where people go to grieve and to mourn and stuff like that, and it's none of your business who is there. Whereas if it is a public space, I think that it's a bit more open, and especially in regards to Belangolo, as I think what Lisa was saying is, those people didn't choose to be there, and they didn't choose to have what happened to them happen to them. If they have a story to tell, and if their energy is there is that something that, you know, a psychic or someone that could help them move on? Isn't that kinda?
I don't know. I don't know about, yeah, look,
It's tricky.
if there was someone there that had a reason for wanting to speak to that particular person, maybe they were a family relative or a family friend or a connection, then that's a little bit different than, a random just coming up and saying, well, I want to know all your details. You don't know me and I really don't know you, but you have to tell me what I want to know because I'm here and I'm a ghost hunter and I need you to tell me. So that's kind of a really terrible way of going about it.
Look, I have to say that I started, and of course, Melanie, you go and talk to your relatives. Absolutely. I started out in cemeteries because there was nothing else available. And I was naive. This was a long time ago. We're probably talking 14 years ago now. I was just so keen to get out and investigate, and there was nothing. So I joined up with a team that was there, and they were running tours in the cemetery with a local psychic. And at first I was really excited and I was chatty and everything. But then sort of as you learn more and you get a greater respect of what the place is, you move away from it. But it's a growth thing. And some people never get past that stage. I love going to cemeteries. I love sitting in a cemetery. We walked through the cemetery in Sheffield, just reading out the headstones at night. And I mean, it was a very old cemetery, but
it was acknowledging the people that were there in their lives
and their stories, and
that their stories were important. Yeah,
I think it's the way it's done.
And that's the point I was going to make, because we have done it and it's on camera. We did it when we went and were seeking some answers to what happened at the bushranger. But the site that we visited, that cemetery and that grave, we didn't wander around the cemetery looking for people. We went to the specific grave that has a public memorial marker for the constable that died there, that is also memorialized at the pub. And it's the story of that town, and it's the story of that pub, and they want that story celebrated. They want his sacrifice celebrated. So it wasn't done in a disrespectful way. I think before anyone calls us, and Renata does, and we have done tours in a cemetery, but you have permission from the people of that town to go there and to do that. It depends on intention.
Yeah, there are some that welcome it. For example, at Wallenby.
Yeah,
Wallenby. We go in and actually lay flowers on the graves. We tell people, go find someone you're drawn to, and leave a flower on their grave. They may not have had a flower left for them for a long time. So that's done in a very respectful way. I like what Dave did there. Turned on the spirit box in a cemetery in a small country town, asked if they wanted to talk. It said, no, go away. So he packed up and left. Perfect.
Which is what we did too when we were in Collector. We had our moment. We had our discussion with what we thought was the constable spirit. And then he said he didn't want to talk anymore, and we left.
I also have a little bit of information about the Tuam babies. You're going to be shocked. They were discovered in 1975. They've known about this for 50 years.
They were for their parents to die, so that there is no insurance and payments and stuff. They were waiting for
absolutely disgusting. Any other mass grave that was found would have been immediately investigated and brought to the surface, and demands for information. But because it's religion, because it's nuns, they're just not going to touch it. Nobody wants to touch it. But they're coming up now. And I honestly, my heart goes out to the workers who are excavating these babies, because the trauma that they are going to face bringing these little souls back to the surface and trying to identify them is going to be horrific, absolutely horrific. I'm sorry, I get very passionate about this because that could have been me. My family came from Ireland. I was adopted, and if my mother had stayed in Ireland, I could have ended up down there. So very passionate about it.
Yeah. Very, very thoughtlessly done. Yeah. Once you do it, but they would have been in that state of going, once you do a couple and your heart is, you're working for God, because that was
God
their
told me to
theory.
do it.
They were all evil women for having children outside of marriage, and the only way to deal with this evil was to, end the life.
Yeah, the mothers were wicked for tempting the men into having sex, and that the babies were the spawn of Satan himself. So they were doing a favor to the world by killing off these babies. But in actual fact, many of them were sold.
If they could make a buck off it, that was
sold.
okay. That was better. We'll just sell them to the Americans. And let's just say the Bonsecours are doing very, very well in America at the moment. They are raking in millions there through their hospitals. So there you go.
So that was a very dire note to end on. Now, we have got some quite interesting topics that we are going to start throwing out. We're just going to work out where they go. I think it might be ghost chat.
I don't know. Hot seat's pretty hot.
We'll talk to Steve and we'll see what he says, but he's going to love these topics. That brings us to the end of tonight. I'm really glad that we could actually still do this from our secret location. Can you tell where we are by our curtain? I've removed all information of where we are and what we're doing. But let's just say we're working hard. We're working very hard, and hopefully bringing some more entertainment to you guys. But
India Mara would have been boring with just me and not Anne.
I know.
Thank you so much, mate. Don't expect a hug the next time I see you.
I'll be hugging you. It's okay, Indy.
I expect a big apology there somewhere, mate.
He wants to keep chatting for another hour or so. We're a little tired. It's been a very long day. I got up at 5:30 this morning. So, yeah, I'm going to sign off. As you can see, I was a little bit quiet to start with. I picked up a little bit, but Auntie Nata needs her beauty sleep. My God, she needs to sleep for at least 6 months, I think.
Oh, here we go. Jesus.
Can everyone just have a look at Cousin Steve and tell him how good he's looking? He looks amazing.
He does.
You're looking sexy, Steve.
OnlyFans, here I come.
All right, we're going. We're getting out of here. You know the deal, guys. Make sure you've liked. Make sure you're subscribed. Please check that you've subscribed. And we're going to bring you some more dirt and good juicy gossip.
Yeah.
And I want to get onto my baby train. I don't know if Sarah's covered that one. She might have already covered it. It's an Australian story. And we do have an Australian True Hauntings coming up shortly too.
We do.
Yeah, with the one after this one. But that's it for now. Thank you, Cousin Steve, for coming on. Thank you for chatting. Sorry we had to split us all up. But came up unexpected. We just had to go. So, love you all. See you on the dark side.
Stay spooky. Don't be a dickhead.
And Steve?
Blow it at your ass.
Yay! Bye, everyone.